till the feelings pass. Everybody needs something to do. Me, I'll just sit here and think about you. It might seem hopeless, but it ain't that bad yet. It's just the blues as blues can get. I need to call somebody, someone I can trust. I need a number for Lovers Anonymous. I'll tell them my story, hope they'll understand. Maybe they can explain it to me, 'cause I don't think I can. I'll take your picture down from my wall. Try to remember the thrill of it all. I know it's over, but it ain't over yet. It's just the blues as blues can get. Tears. I stare at the ceiling and I wish that you were here. I'm going crazy, but I ain't crazy yet. It's just the blues as blues can get. Just the blues that blues can get. It's just the blues. I know it's over, but it ain't over yet.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Where the old town goes. They moved it all north of here in the shopping mall.
Good morning and welcome to Old Town Cleveland here on WOOP FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.woopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553. We got Morgan Denny here running the board for us today. What's that number if you from out of the area?
Well, if you're out of the area, Ron, you can call 423-614-5553.
And who's this down here on that end?
That's Debbie Morley.
Debbie, that's the star of the show, right?
Yep.
That's right.
I'm the talent.
Well, at least she's the boss. I don't know if she's the star, but she is.
Well, today is June the 17th on a beautiful Saturday morning, and today we're going to be talking about a lot of bull. That's right, a lot of bull and dirty stuff. That's farming, that is. And we'll be talking about the century farms that have been identified in Bradley County, and then we're going to talk about the long-term farms that have been in operation that might even qualify as century farms, but they just haven't filled out the paperwork yet. We have Kim Frady here with us from, tell me where you're from, the Agricultural Extension Agency.
We have several names. We are now known as UTTSU Extension.
Well, there you go. Now you heard it here first.
There we go.
Basically,
It's always confusing to me to call you on the phone.
he is
to
the
try to
Bradley
look it up.
County Agricultural Extension Agent.
There you
Yeah,
go.
better known as
The
Kim.
head guy in charge.
The
Deb,
guy responsible when everything goes wrong.
a couple announcements there real quick you have there, Deb.
Well, the farmers market's open over on Peerless Road this morning, and someone posted a picture on Facebook, and I saw a lot of good-looking beans and some maters, and all the fresh vegetables are in, and
Fried pies.
fried pies. Ron done said, we go in there when the show's over. So I hope they have a fried pie left for him. And then I wanted to remind everybody that next Saturday's when the Big Trail of Tears event will be going on in Tellico Plains. I hope that you will decide to come up and join us. If you want to get up there early and do something, the Charles Hall Museum will be hosting a Cherokee finger weaving class. It's not going to be a big all-day class. It's a 2-hour class, cost you $15. If you want to register, you need to call their gift shop up there at the Charles Hall Museum. And then starting about 1 o'clock, we'll have a bunch of exhibits open at the high school, a lot of history exhibits and tourism in the area. Folks are going to be coming and tell you what you want to see in the area. And then at 2 o'clock, Quentin Bass with the Cherokee National Forest will be talking about Fort Armistead and maybe the damage that was done to the trail up there, the Trail of Tears up there. And 2 o'clock, right after 2 o'clock, about 2:45, Laura Spann from Calhoun will be talking about what Cherokee owns your property in that area. She's done some extensive research, has been able to identify about 50 Cherokees and a good idea of the exact piece of property that they owned. You got Bell Rattle and Mocking Crow, a bunch of really cool names like that.
Great. And so you can listen to Old Town Cleveland next week till about 12 if you don't want to do finger weaving. And leave and be up there in time, because that's what I'm going to do. I'll be here next week doing the show, and maybe Bill Morgan said he won't be here with me, so it's going to be me so far.
Yeah,
He'll be all
I'm gonna be in
alone.
Louisville next week. Next week.
I'm going up and take that beginning class because I really want to make something big.
Okay,
And,
well,
or it might be like when I took basket weaving. You know, people always laughed. I took basket weaving in college and it was so easy. I didn't get beyond the frame of that thing. And I'm quite an artsy person. It just didn't work the way my brain wanted it to work.
I took math in college, and I've not used it since then either.
And they wanted me to go out into the, cut down the wood. I mean, you take the wood and strip it off. And I'm thinking, I shouldn't be handling sharp objects. I'm pretty sure I shouldn't be handling sharp objects. So I failed basket weaving.
Kim, good morning. How long have you been the Agricultural Extension Agent of Bradley County?
Well, Ron, too long to count, really. Since
40 years now, hasn't it?
No, not
Okay.
not quite that long. Probably about 35 though. Since 1984, I think
Wow.
was when Judy and I moved back to Bradley County.
You're a Polk County boy originally, right?
Polk County originally. Graduated from University of Tennessee. Started working with Extension in Murfreesboro in Rutherford County. And was 4-H agent over there, and Bill Hale and John Paysinger was here, and
Right.
Mr. John retired, and Mr. Bill did too, and I had the opportunity to apply for a position here, and was very fortunate to get to move back.
That's what I was going to ask you. Who did you replace? And I thought it was going to be Bill Hale.
Right. Yep.
Got a scratch in my throat today. Can't get it rid of it.
That's okay.
And Now, before we go on into the Century Farms, tell people what the extension agent or office does for the basically farming, or it's more than just farming, but tell all the things that basically you cover.
It is. We're actually a part of the University of Tennessee. There's 4 areas at the University of Tennessee. There's the teaching college, there's the veterinary college, and the experiment station, and then extension. And our original mission, and still is to take research-based information that's done on the experiment stations and various other areas around the United States, from other universities too, and get that information to the farmers. And within extension, we've got 4 areas. We've got family and consumer sciences, which used to be home economics. We've changed that to family and consumer sciences because they do a lot of varied things now than they used to. Agriculture is one, 4-H is one, and it used to be called community resource development, which has recently changed to community economic development because of the of our becoming more less rural, I guess, more urban than we have been in the past.
So if someone has problem with their grass at their house, you could call down there and someone could give them some tips.
We sure can, and that's part of our mission that's changed also, is now you got me doing it, Ron. As we've become more urban, our mission has changed. We still work with a lot of the farmers in the county and try to do help them as much as we can with information, but also we've become very urban, and if you have a problem with anything in your landscape, a plant or a bug or how to kill
wildlife eating your vegetables,
to a certain degree, yeah.
You can give them an idea.
Kind of depends on where you are. If you're out in the county, and that your choices are more varied if you live out in the county.
Like lead poisoning?
Yeah, like
Okay.
lead poisoning, yeah.
Shh. Well, that's in the county. You could do that. You can't do that in the city. It's against the rule. Also, something that is available, and if you do gardens, big or small, your soil is very important. Not your dirt. Your soil is very important. I took that
There
class.
you go.
I remember.
You learned well.
And one of the most important things you do is get a soil testing kit. You can go down to the Extension Agency on Church Street, and you can pick up one of these kits, and it will tell you how to collect the soil. And then you send it off, and as the price went up, it used to be $7.
Yeah, what they've done, they've actually expanded that test now to where not only do you get phosphorus and potassium test and pH, which were the main things, but now they test for micronutrients. You get calcium, magnesium, boron, iron, manganese, all of those that micronutrients that sometimes may make something, for example, like blueberries. They may be deficient in iron, and you need that knowledge that test will give you to know what to do to that plant. And there's certain crops that are pretty sensitive on some of those.
So this will be good for your grass. Also, you can do all this stuff, and at the end, he mentioned all that stuff. Magnesium makes your plant turn greener.
Absolutely.
Help you produce. But all the other stuff, you don't know what it is. At the end, it tells you add this kind of fertilizer. So it's a great thing. How much is it now?
It's $15 now.
That's very cheap.
And it'll give you, you could spend, and you and I both could look at a sample of soil and say, boy, that's nice brown stuff. That ought to grow really good stuff. But if the pH is too acidic, then the plant's not going to be able to take those nutrients up, and so therefore it's not as good as it looks sometimes. So you and I both can look at it and be wrong. So
well, I know I can, yeah.
Mr. Joe Burns, that was our 4-H specialist for years, he had a saying. He said, "Don't guess, soil test," and that still is appropriate today.
That's good. pH. If you live in an area where there's a lot of pine trees, you're gonna have more acidic soil. And so, if you want to grow something that doesn't need acidic soil, you need to change your soil. There's a difference between dirt and soil.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dirt's what you carry in the house on your shoes.
Soil, but then they'll also, you go down there and they got a lot of pamphlets, how to do simple composting, which will help your soil tremendously. So people need to learn to use you don't have to be the farmer with 100,000 acres out here, or 1,000 acres, or 50 acres. Your yard, you could go down there and if you have an insect problem, if you can capture one of those, bring them by. And it's important for you guys to know that too, because if there's some invasive species getting in here, you'd like to find it quick.
And there is one that is becoming more common here. It's called the emerald ash borer, and it feeds specifically on green ash trees. Mm-hmm. So we hope we can head that one off before all the ash trees are gone, like the chestnut trees back in the 40s, so 30s, whenever that
What are the
happened.
symptoms of that?
Just a gradual decline of the ash tree. You'll see limbs dying out in the tree, and it just doesn't look normal.
What is the largest farm in Bradley County? Would it be Bendabout?
I would say now, yes, probably.
Yeah,
so.
he recently purchased Botman Home.
Right.
I don't know how much property was there, but that was purchased, and it was 4,000 acres before that. So
Right.
I
would say Bendabout's probably our largest.
that's
Who's the next?
that's a city.
After that?
Well,
John Moore? I don't know. How big's John Moore's farm?
possibly. John's probably farming 600 plus acres, but I don't know about ownership of all of that. He may be leasing some of that. I would think the Wright brothers would have had before Valker came in. They had a big area up there in the north part of the county, but I'm not real sure now who would.
There's a nice house on that property too that thankfully, I assume it's still there, Valker saved, and they were using it as their office. It was an old building that somebody, which I assume was the Wright brothers, put a lot of work into. They had put air conditioning and stuff in it, and it was in good shape when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
1870-ish, maybe a little bit earlier than that.
So what is the biggest crop in Bradley County right now? Is it feed corn, or is it, I hadn't seen as much feed corn as I used to see.
I would probably say hay.
Right.
Hay, just regular, because, we've traditionally, and of course we'll talk about, I want to mention June Dairy Month and thank all the dairy farmers for what they do. We were a very big dairy county at one time, but we've got a lot of beef cattle here now. So, probably grass,
Are there just too many
pasture.
regulations in the dairy industry? Is that it?
That and labor.
Labor.
When back in years ago, you had a.
There you go. Turn towards your microphone.
Oh, okay.
I'm not trying to smack you in the face, I promise.
You had larger families. You had labor
family on the farm, and you don't have it now.
You don't have as much as you used to. So.
And we were one of those families that would live on a farm for free rent, and then my daddy would work and then get paid too a little bit.
And I think part of what's happened too is as we become more urban, some of our farms have turned into industrial parks, and
you can make your money fast selling it off in acreage. Yeah,
right.
How big was
areas.
Hardwick Farm at some point in time? Do you know?
I really don't. I don't know.
It was pretty big.
It was a big dairy farm at one time.
It was, yeah. And then
I know there's some 1940-ish pictures on Tennessee State Archives Library and Archives site that, Ron, if you'll remind me, I'll post those when I get home on Old Town Cleveland's Facebook page. But they're really nice to look at. All those silos were in perfect condition up there, and there were cattle and maybe sheep too.
And see, T.J. Kaywood was the farm manager there for years and years, and that reminds me that today.
Is TJ still with us?
No, TJ's passed away. There, we have our beef and sheep summer livestock show at Peerless Road this afternoon, and we've set up a memorial for TJ.
Okay, and what time does that start?
I think it starts somewhere around 6 o'clock. I'm not real positive on that. Maybe if anybody's listening, they can call in and tell us. Our 4-H agent was at 4-H camp all week, so I didn't get a chance to talk to her a whole lot about it. But anyway, that's coming up this afternoon.
The hay that we grow here we use that to feed on their farms, or do they sell that hay?
No, it's mostly used here.
Is it?
Yeah, and majority of it's grass hay. There's still a couple of producers that's growing some alfalfa hay or alfalfa mixed hay. Ed Campbell down in Black Fox area, Ed's growing some alfalfa, and the Oinbys down Tunnel Hill Road, they're growing some alfalfa down that way too. So
What's going on over there?
All right, well, we got a caller. Caller, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, just tuned in your show about 10 minutes ago, and let me turn my radio off. And I heard, Well Across Baptist Church is down there, why Brother Bobby Lou said that, I don't know, the Johnson Farm down there, they approached him about buying it. And instead of going through all that, the reason was, he told him at that time, he wanted to buy enough land to put a NASCAR racetrack in. Of course, NASCAR's gone down. But I don't know if that's the reason he's still expanding.
Who, Mr. Summerfield?
Yeah.
He does not like the racing at all. He was so happy the day that the Cleveland Speedway closed, so I would think that that's probably a false report. He likes the wildlife and the little bunnies and the great big deers.
Actually, that farm is in a trust.
Parts of it is in a wildlife
so
trust.
it can only be a farm.
Okay.
At this moment.
Yeah.
Now, his children may have a whole different attitude someday, but right now,
Yeah.
he just loves his farm.
It was over 10 years ago when this conversation.
Yeah. Well,
I'm glad. Yeah, I am glad it's in conservation mode.
he felt like he could put some of it in what will be like a wildlife reserve, and I don't know if any other decisions were made about the rest of it, but it certainly is a beautiful, beautiful farm. About a year ago, he invited Ron and I down and put us in a vehicle, and I don't know, a couple hours, Ron, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
And we saw, oh my gosh, beautiful land and wildlife. It's kind of like a movie or something. Cue the deer. Big buck could run across the road in front of us, and I know. And he knows, he and Matt Bentley know every inch of that farm.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say he's got a really good fella down there. Matt's just super good about managing for wildlife and that sort of thing. Just a great guy.
Absolutely. And turkeys galore.
Well, the Bobman home over there, it didn't have, to me, it didn't have anything to do with wildlife. I hope
I don't have any clue what he's going to do with that property, but I was so tickled that he bought it because I was really afraid that they were just going to abandon the property. And Matt is a hero in my eyes. There was a whole room there full of the archives of the Botman home, and he had the wisdom not to put it in the dumpster. They boxed it up and took it all to the history branch of the library.
Well, that's good. And
that is great, yes.
I hope it's put to some sort of use and not just dozed down. The apartments on South Lee right there next to where the cross.
Well, he had no use for that stuff, so
they were gone.
Yeah, he just wanted that gone, and he bought the Varnell Nursery. It's part of the Bendabout Farm now. Have you ever been to the Polo Manches?
No, but I've been by there when they have.
Well, you need to go. All folks are invited. They have them in September, and it's something to see those horses.
But
they're the athletes.
You remind me back toward September. If you
I certainly will. You be listening to us, and Matt usually calls us and lets us know when it's going to happen. And if they get lucky, I think it was so hot and dry last year they only did one match.
Yeah. Well.
But anyway, we will let everybody know. And I think one year we had a bench, one of the sets of bleachers, and almost everybody sitting there had been our listeners. We had our own cheering section.
Lord willing, I'll certainly be there if I'm reminded of it.
All right.
We'll do it.
Thanks for calling.
Hey, thank you.
Bye-bye. We are so fortunate to have good people like the Johnstons and Mrs. Neal that's protecting history and protecting the farms. We drive by Mrs. Neal's place every day, And for our listeners, if you'll turn off Harrison Pike on Blythewood Road, when you get up there at her barns early in the morning and not too late in the evenings, she has all her little colts out with their mamas. And, oh, my gosh, it's just a thrill to see them. And I can't imagine what one of those little colts would be worth.
Usually cooler mornings, wet mornings, you'll see turkeys there. Dairy farms. How many dairy farms are actually operating in Bradley County now? Is it decreased?
Yeah, we sure have.
Because Haney's has stopped milk production.
No,
now.
they're still milking cows, but they're not selling to a cooperative.
Okay.
They're selling to individuals. They do what's in Tennessee law lets you do a cow share. You can buy a share of a cow, and then every week you get the milk that she produces. So
Well,
that's a
I know
possibility.
people are listening now. They're going to want that phone number, but we'll find it maybe during the break for them because I know Bob always needs some milk.
You know, back in 1984 when we moved, or 83 maybe, Judy will correct me, I think it may have been 83, there was 45 dairies in Bradley County at that time. I brought a list with me that in just since 2001 now, there were 26 in 2001, and today we have 7. So that tells you what, you know, we've definitely become more urban, but, you know, and some of these have retired, and the kids were off doing doctor and lawyer and that sort of stuff, and didn't come back and operate the farm. So a lot of these farms that were dairies are now beef cattle farms. They've turned them into beef cattle farms, easier to manage. You don't have to, you know, it's not a 365-day-a-year job anymore. So a lot of those that we have, and some are poultry producers now. We have one that sold a dairy.
Yeah, we're seeing those chicken houses going up everywhere.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, who can afford to build those?
Yeah, they're expensive to build, but we're some of the integrators or their companies are expanding. So typically they like new facilities when they, you know, get new producers, and so we've got a lot of those going in too.
Where do they sell their beef? The beef farmers.
Probably most are sold as calves at feeder calf sales or at stock barns. Our closest one is at Athens, but a lot of folks still go to Sweetwater, East Tennessee Livestock in Sweetwater.
They're not selling their beef to some big production company?
No. And some sell to individuals, you know. The problem we're having with that now is, since Ed Processing, Ed was, you know, Earl McConnell was the owner of it, and Earl passed away, but, you know, we don't have a lot of local. I think the Blankenships maybe at Calhoun's our closest processor. A lot of folks go to Hamptons, I think, in Decatur, and so we don't have a lot of folks to process our animals
We
here.
used to have a couple out there on Buchanan Road, didn't we?
We used to.
That was where.
Yeah, absolutely. And dairy is still a large part of Bradley County. I was looking at the statistics for 2017. It lists Bradley County as the 3rd biggest dairy producer in the state of Tennessee. Now, that's a little bit misleading, because you've got Rex and Ron and Ray Calfee all up in the north part of Bradley County, and you've got Ronald Davis right on the line. Ronald's actually, and Rex is too, actually, their farms are in Polk County, but they have Bradley County addresses. So I'm sure that's the reason that they get included in with ours, and both of those are pretty large dairies. So
Tell us about Dairy Month.
Well, it's just it's a good time to eat a lot of ice cream, Ron. I've really,
Amen.
If you look, I've done a lot of that. There's in Tennessee, our number of dairies are going down, not just in Bradley County, but for the whole state. I think there's less than 200 dairies in the state of Tennessee now.
Wow.
So, they were 500 at one time, not too long ago. So, typical dairy farms, 140 to 150 cows. We have some larger herds than that here in Bradley County, and that's the reason that our numbers, I think, are a little bit higher. But one of the interesting facts that I saw that a cow will produce almost 2,000 gallons of milk a year, 1,927 gallons. That's 6.3 gallons of milk per day. That's a lot of milk per cow.
Mm-hmm.
And so our production has gone up and that's a component of various things, nutrition being one of them. But I think genetics is real important there, and just cow comfort. We've done a lot of things to make cows feel better. You know, the freestall barns that they're housed in. If you go to Beatty View Farm out off of Harrison Pike, they've got fans with misters that's inside their freestall barn that keeps the cows cool. And if they're comfortable, you know, a cow feels good.
Happy cow.
Yes, sir. She's going to give more milk. And so that all of those things contribute to our production that we have now.
So, and, you know, I'm sure that the collection equipment is better than squirting it in a pan, in a bucket. You don't lose as much.
There's no, you
don't turn the bucket over.
Don't kick the bucket over. Don't step in the bucket much anymore. Most everybody does a really good job. It's all pipeline and automatic milkers. And Terry Bishop over in Polk County, Terry actually is one of the first in our area, I think, to install robots. He has robotic milkers, so the cows can walk in and the inflations that actually milk the cow or have laser beams, and they determine where to put the milker on the cow. And I've not watched it, but they say.
And the cows all have barcodes on them, and as they walk into the barn, it barcodes them. As they go into a stall, it reads the barcode, and then they know exactly how much milk each cow's. That's just too fancy.
Yep, that goes to a computer, and that way you can look at that, and you can look at the amount of milk she give, and if she give, you know, a whole lot yesterday and didn't give much today, there may be something, she may not be feeling good, so might need to check her a little bit and see what's going on. But it's a real interesting concept. Very expensive, but it worked well.
What happens when we go from 200 dairies in the state to 100 to 50? Are we going to see huge milk prices increases?
I don't think so, because a lot of our milk, especially here, goes straight to fluid milk. Very little of ours. Now, if you go to Sweetwater Valley Cheese at Philadelphia, I think they're using some of theirs for cheese production. Right. But one of the facts here said 98% of all of our milk, and if you think about that, that's a lot of milk that's being produced that's going to fluid milk, that's going to be just being put in a jug.
So, you know, they could keep all the buttermilk they want, though. I don't.
You like it just fine in your cornbread
and pancakes, but just to drink that stuff, no, I just can't do that.
That's just good milk gone bad.
That's right.
And
exactly what it is to me.
And cottage cheese is buttermilk gone bad.
How do you know when buttermilk is bad?
Our little grandbabies eat cottage cheese, and Ron will just shake his head. He don't understand, but they just slap it up. I know that there's a car wash going on up at Tractor Supply today for the Junior Beta Club. Get up there and get your car washed. I don't know if Bobby Orr's up there with his ice cream today or not. He was up there last week. So just go to Tractor Supply and you find something good in the parking lot today.
Dairy farmers here now sell to a cooperative. Is that what everybody does now?
Yes. Everything goes to cooperative. Some sell directly to Mayfield, but there's not very many of those left now. Mayfield kind of buys from the other cooperatives, too, that our producers sell to.
Does the cooperative, they put 200 gallons together or 2,000 gallons and gets the best price? Or are they contracted?
It's kind of the plants know, and there's several different, let's see, there's 6 processing plants in Tennessee, Nashville. There's 2 in Murfreesboro, 1 in Memphis, 1 in Powell up above Knoxville, and then Mayfield's at Athens. And they know the volume of milk they need, and so they buy from the cooperatives that markets our producers' milk for them.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a tough question. You don't have to answer this. Is Mayfield's milk any different than Borden's, or is it all just coming out of a cow? Or is the processing tremendously different?
No, not a whole lot. There's certain things that different companies do to the milk, like the homogenizing, and of course everything's pasteurized now, but the homogenizing and the way they go about doing that, Mayfield's claims theirs is a little better because they do it differently, but I don't know. The color of the jug may have something to do with it. I know it affects shelf life to a certain degree.
The yellow jug.
The yellow jug.
I heard a while ago that the reason it's yellow is that a way, and this is just what I heard, with a clear jug, if somebody gets into it, it like somehow it affects the quality of the milk.
Yeah.
I don't know 100%.
That's what they've
how it
always
works, I
said.
really admit. And with the yellow jugs, it
When
can
I was a
balance it.
kid, it didn't matter because it got drank real fast with 4 kids around.
Right now,
It's the same way with me.
But
I mean,
raw milk that you get up at Haney's
Right.
and the milk you get at Mayfield's is different, isn't it?
It is. It has because of the pasteurization and the homogenization.
So the milk at Haney's is going to be a lot richer than what you get at.
Good for making homemade ice cream.
It could be, depending on the type of cows that they have. Holstein cows, the butterfat level of the milk's not as high. Jersey's has more butterfat, so it would be creamier or richer to that extent. When it goes to, like when you go to the grocery store and you buy 2% milk, it's going to have 2% butterfat. So they're taking some of that butterfat out of that milk and using it to make butter and cheese and various other things. But Mayfield's, not only do they bottle their milk, they bottle for other companies too. So,
Right.
you know, whether they do different things to that milk for the other companies, I don't know that. But they do bottle under different labels.
I will point out that Mayfield is not owned by the Mayfield family anymore. That's been sold many years ago, and I can't remember the name of the.
I think they still have Dean Food
Dean
is
Food, right,
on
yeah.
the label, and there's some question about, I don't know that may be a different company now other than Dean Food.
Well, but they'll still sell it as
Right.
Mayfield because
And
of
they,
the.
by the way, have a really nice little tour that you can go on up there. I think it used to be free. Now you got to pay a little bit for it. But they
Get
include
free ice
You
cream.
get ice
you get
cream.
an ice cream at the end.
Absolutely.
And we took our granddaughter that was 4 up there, and she really enjoyed it. It was a little noisy for her, but she enjoyed it.
Predominantly make ice cream at the Athens plant now, I believe. Isn't that their primary thing they make there is ice cream?
think so.
Certain
Maybe-
type of ice cream.
and maybe cottage cheese.
Yeah, some places they make the box ice cream, what I call a box, and some make the vanity, or what do you call it? Not vanity.
The ice cream sandwiches and,
Yeah.
and the brown cows and that sort of thing.
I can't remember the word they called it.
Novelty, is that
Novelty, there you go.
item?
That's the
Okay.
right word, yes.
Okay.
So, all right. Hey, folks, you're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9. And today we're talking to Kim Frady, the Bradley County Extension Agent. We're going to be talking about Century Farms. We've been talking about Dairy Month here and about farming in general here. Morgan, what number do they need to call if they want to ask Kim
He was
Frady a
scared to
farming
death you was going to
question?
ask him about a cow.
But yeah, you guys can call us here at 614-5553, or if you're out of the area, I was going to say out of the number for some reason, just add 423 to the beginning of that lovely number, 614-5553.
And if you're out of your mind, just don't call.
Yeah, that's right. That's a rule. Don't
Kim,
call.
let's start talking about Century Farms, unless you get something else you want to talk about. Dairy
No,
Month.
not particularly. The only other thing, and that's a good lead in, I'm thinking that probably these 7 farms that we have left that are milk and producing farms, probably all of them will qualify as a Century Farm.
Let me ask-
one or two maybe already are.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question here. I'm looking at an old newspaper article from 2009 showing the Varnell farm up at the bend of the river farm, and it was a Century Farm, but it's been sold now. Does that take it off the list?
I'm not sure. I don't know, and I don't know that I've got any information
Okay.
about that.
I
whether-
was just curious about that because it's a really interesting article, and of course I know that the house has been totally remodeled and preserved, and the farm is being farmed, being leased out and farmed. So thank goodness it wasn't all chopped up. All righty. What are you guys talking about? I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
I
we'll
always,
talk about
my job is
All
to
right.
confuse y'all.
Let me read to you from the application to become a
There you
Century
go.
Farm. Here's the requirements. You must be able to prove that this farm has been continuously owned by members of the same family at least for 100 years.
Wow.
The line of ownership from the first family member that that person or persons you consider the founders may be through spouses, children, brothers, sisters, nephews. In other words, blood relations. The land under consideration must be 10 acres or more of the original farm. The farm must produce at least $1,000 farm income during the year of application, and one owner must still be a resident of the state of Tennessee. They don't have to live on the farm necessarily, but that original. But that is the requirement. Is there a fee to enter this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So Debbie, they'd probably take that one if it's not a family member that purchased it. That would
Yeah,
probably
that's why
be
I'm
that.
thinking we may have lost one off the list, and it may
Well, it
technically
might
be
be-
this Varnell farm.
It may still be, I don't know if they just, once a Century Farm is still a Century Farm. I don't know.
I don't know. I
That's
don't
a
know.
good question. So now, the Tennessee Century Farms is managed by who?
Right now, I think it's Middle Tennessee State University. It was originally started in 1975 by Tennessee Department of Agriculture,
Right.
and they still have some. Matter of fact, one of the contact persons is Lynn Williams, and she still works at Tennessee Department of Agriculture. So, I think we could probably go either way with that. So,
Yeah, it says here on the application the Center for Historical Preservation at MTSU.
At MTSU.
And there's numbers.
Man,
and,
oh man, does MTSU do a good job with that?
Oh,
They
very
not
good
only the
history
Century
program.
Farms, they've got a lady that's in charge of preservation of the Trail of Tears. They come out and look at stuff, old stuff.
Let me ask you before we move on. I've got a
Okay.
question there.
okay.
At UT, at the agricultural area, they have a flower and vegetable area up there. It's free to walk through that. You know the street address on that? It's right down on the river.
It'd be Neyland Drive, but I don't know exactly what. It's right beside the vet college. You can't miss it.
Oh, we
It's
love
the
it.
Trial Gardens, and what they do is different companies provide seed and
And the students.
yeah, they plant them, and you can go in there and you can look and see what does best in our environment. And some
It's
will
beautiful.
some will look really, really good to begin with, but then you go in August or September when the first football game, and it don't look so good at
Well,
that time.
most
so.
of the students are gone during the summer.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. they're not
Well, now,
taking
are you
care.
talking about the flower garden, or are there food gardens too there? All we've ever seen them.
Well, they have some vegetables there.
Yeah, but mainly
it's
just
just
flowers and trees and ornamentals and
We're
that
talking
sort
about
of thing.
thousands of flowers.
Oh,
Probably 2 acres.
Every bit of it,
Yeah.
probably more than that.
Yeah, and it's right on
huge.
the creek that runs down to the river on one side, and
It goes all the way down to Third Creek.
It's
almost,
2518 Jacob Drive, Knoxville, Tennessee.
you can go up there, and it's free parking Saturday, Sundays. Now during school, it'd be hard to park.
Yep.
We generally go real early on a Sunday morning, and it's cool, and the flowers all still have
And
dew
they're-
on them, and the pictures are gorgeous.
You could sit there, little.
I'd say that's right off
If
Neelam.
you turn north right there off Neyland, right there at the vet college sign, that's Jacobs Road or Jacobs.
And there's
Take
little
it maybe.
shaded areas and benches, and you sit down and take your little picnic lunch and have a picnic there.
Sure can.
But it's beautiful. Flowers. We took a lot of great pictures. Roses, unbelievable. I mean, they're-
There's also a mailbox there that has a walking trail that has things listed and kind of a diagram of what's going on and everything there too.
I lost my ink pen.
Okay.
Oh, we we wondered why he was down crawling around on the ground.
Ron, according to what I was looking at here, there's 3,260 century farms in the state of Tennessee. 52 of those are pioneer century farms, and I don't know what the designation on those are. There's 30 on the National Register, and 8 are part of Land Trust for Tennessee. And it says additionally, 10 have African American founders, and 4 were founded by women.
There you go.
There you go, Deb.
That's
Sure enough.
Well, now let me. We have 6 or 7 here in Bradley County.
According to their records, yes. But I talked to a young man this morning that says they have a sign and their name does not appear on our Bradley County list. So I'm not too sure how accurate that is.
So we know at least 7.
Yeah.
John, the Hannah Farm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're not on. They don't appear on the list.
So I guess his great grandfather, the Lusk family, started that farm down there. Is that right?
The Lusk family came in, and the Steele family came in before 1838. So, yeah, they're 2-century farm. Almost, yeah.
And they are designations within this. It's not just 100 years.
They may be one of these pioneer farms, right, because that would be immediately when the area opened.
And that may
that's remarkable.
That may be the different designations. I know I have a sign, and I've got to figure out whose it is and get it to them. That's at the extension office. It says 150 years on it. Mm-hmm. So I thought it might be pretty easier for me to take this list and see who that sign belongs to. There's also a designation for 200-year farms, too.
Yes, I think the oldest one on the list I read was 1832.
Wow.
That's 6 years before Bradley County was actually formed, so that's pretty early there. Mm-hmm. The Chattata Valley Heritage Farm.
Now, on Facebook, somebody asked where that was. Do you know?
I don't.
I don't either.
I'm not sure who Heritage Farms belong to.
Well, let me see if it's in my newspaper.
But Chattata Valley, if you think about that area up through there, I'm just trying to think the McAllisters or the Sanders or
what's the big home up there, Deb?
The Mee Mansion.
Mees?
M-E-E. That's on the Sanders farm.
Okay, yeah.
And there was a family I know that was dairying when I moved back, Holtz, H-O-L-T. They had a farm up there, and I think that's maybe the Calfies now. But there's several different ones up through that area.
I found it. Y'all keep talking. Let me read this.
Very good. Right. You go right ahead.
Never throwing anything away pays off.
There you go.
I'm looking at a newspaper article from 2009, and it says Chattata Valley.
She just pulled this out of her back pocket. Did you see that?
I saw her do this.
It says that the Chattata Valley Farm was a federal deed, and it was established in 1839 by John and Amelia Neal Simmons. And now the farm is owned by descendants of Anne and Harry Theodore Ted Chase. You're familiar with that family, I'm sure.
I had David Chase on my list. I sat down last night and kind of made me a list of the ones that I thought might be eligible, and I've got David on there.
According to the family, the farm was originally a 640-acre farm, a section, and it came from the federal government, and the original deed to the section came from Chief John Ross of the Cherokee Nation. I haven't heard that. That might be something good for me to look into. The Chases inherited the land in 1945. Down through the generations, the land was split off to the heirs. That's probably why they call it a heritage farm. And the Chases reclaimed some of the acreage and currently have approximately 560 acres, according to David and Becky.
So, 1839, for you historians, of course, the Cherokees were removed in 1838, and all of a sudden, that land at that time belonged to the Cherokee Indians, and all of a sudden they're gone, and the federal government started handing it out. I'd like to be around. I'd like to be around somebody handing some of that out.
It was I was not aware that John Ross has any property up there, but that doesn't mean anything.
what being the chief, I think what that may have implied.
Boom.
Well, that's interesting.
They own 580 acres.
We both learned something today.
And they
didn't we?
grow
Absolutely.
soybean, raise beef, cattle, and chickens. Of course, this was 2009. They have 4 chicken houses and 300 head of cattle. 2 people do most of the work from the farm. Wow.
And David does some of the best Bermuda grass hay. That's another
Well,
hay
it
that
was
I
saying
forgot
some of the
about.
acreage is now used for hay production.
Yeah, he grows some fine Bermuda
And they
grass.
grew, at that time, they grew acres of sunflowers. Where is that farm located? Let's see. It's
If you turn off of Benton Pike at
Oh, no.
the golf course,
Mhm.
it's immediately on your left.
okay.
Yeah.
And it says it's close to the new Friendship Baptist Church that was built in 1835 on land donated by John Simmons.
He had a large cattle herd there because every once in a while, you playing golf, you could notice it. You didn't see the cows, but you knew they were there. How's that?
Very nice, and
the
was-
wind come that way, and you could know that there's some dairy farm going on somewhere around here.
Anyway, now what else do y'all want me to pull out of my folder over
Well,
here?
what's the other 6 there then? We got one of them out of the way.
Bend of the River Farm, which
Is the Varnell farm I was
that's
talking
the
about.
Varnell Farm. Hiwassee Bend Farm. Have you got that one?
Yes, in 2009 there was a newspaper article for the Hiwassee Bend Farm. Oh, I recognize that house. When you're going out past the boat dock and you drive as far as you can drive, you see this little house. And I've always been curious because it looks extremely old to these uneducated eyes.
Is this back where Brown's
Yes. This
farm?
farm, which has been in the Bates Alexander family for more than 2 generations, is just around the bend of the Hiwassee River from the Varnell farm. I'm sorry, I'm having to read. It's 2 miles southeast of Charleston along the Hiwassee River. Owners are Joe Ralph and Charlotte Alexander. Alexander now lives in Farragut in West Knoxville, and the old farmhouse along with the river is now rented with beef cattle and crops on the property. What are y'all talking about me while I'm
No, not us.
Well, y'all go ahead and I'll just jump in.
We just wrote notes. We didn't write
The
anything.
others on my list is Kelly, Kelley, Kelly Farm.
Down in the Black Fox
That's what I was
community.
thinking, Black Fox.
And
that-
it is an extremely old farm.
Is this Mary
And,
Kelly?
yes.
Been the teacher's
Old
editor?
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Levi Truitt Farm.
That would be Bill McClure and his lovely wife, Snooky. And that one would probably predate Bradley County because Levi, the Truitt family, was here prior to.
Date found is 1838.
Yep. So, yep. They were early owners, and that would be folks right in the Waterville School community. I'm pretty sure it encompassed originally all of that property. And Bill McClure's mom, out there on the highway where there was a little white block building, and I remember stopping there, and our family would buy buttermilk from her. I'm sure she sold other things, but that's the one thing that we always bought from her.
And then the other one on the list is down in the Flint Springs area is Varnell Dairy Farm, and that would have been Bill Varnell.
Where is that farm located?
Weatherly Switch Road.
Okay.
After where you turn to go to Red Clay, if you just go
Yes.
straight a little farther there and go past the
Oh, yes.
the Marine
In that real
Fire Hall.
deep curve.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
And
that
then,
one.
Right.
then the Hannah Farm course is Charlie Hannah lives there and,
Right.
and runs. I guess
Charles and David still is.
Yeah. And I think Charles lives in the house there, which is an interesting house. That location had Civil War activity there, and
And it does have a historical marker
It does.
now. They called it no man's land because really
neither
these people,
side claimed it.
right. And it was just, you were on your own to protect yourself.
And his great-great-grandfather, Mr. Lusk, is buried up on the hill, and he was a Revolutionary War soldier. And we did mark that Sons of American Revolution. We did mark that grave in a ceremony up on top of that hill on one of the hottest days I've ever been outside.
And we missed the wagon because we were on the radio show. We missed the wagon to the top of the hill, and we had to walk up that hill. And we got to the top of the hill, and they went, "Oh, hey, Debbie, come over here and tell us about." And I'm thinking, I can barely breathe. But yes, I will. Okay, after the Civil War, Sterling Bates inherited 285 acres from his mother. He raised cattle, grew corn and hay. Of course, we know there's agricultural reports all the way back to the 1860s. They
Right.
give you great information.
Yeah, all that would have been, what chief would that have been? Had all that back in that?
Lewis Ross actually owned that property. Lewis Ross was the brother of John Ross, and he was kind of sitting around waiting for him to sell off all the agency stuff. But he had been farming the bend of the river, 640 acres of it, and feeding the soldiers, selling the foods to soldiers that were watching the Cherokees that they were, and feeding some of the Cherokees
And then
too, and made a lot of money.
Across the river was the South Falls. How do you say it? South Falls?
Saul Pauls,
Right across
which
the river.
are related to the Varnells.
Yes.
Mr. Saul Paul gave the Bend of the River farm to his daughter and her new husband, Dr. Varnell. And they lived first in a little house, and the little house burned, and in 1920 they built that big, white, magnificent house that's not air conditioned.
Which has been remodeled. And
Which has
saved
been
now.
remodeled, but it still doesn't have air conditioning. It doesn't have air conditioning.
Yep.
But anyway, that's two right there on that one curve in the river.
If you go down the river the other way, if you go west along the Bradley County, along the Hiwassee, where Olin is
Yes.
now, do you know anything? Olin was there when I moved back.
Well, it was there before I ever started paying attention to things. There was an Indian village where Bowaters is now, whatever Bowaters is called this week. There was an Indian village where Olin was built also. There were some old guys, and they're all gone now, that said that when they were plowing up or bulldozing the parking lot at Bowaters, you could just pick up big chunks of pottery and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it was a big, active village. But at that time, we did not preserve. We were trying to be progressive.
That's going to be true all the way down the river, though. I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, who wouldn't want to have lived right on that beautiful river where you had all that water and the fish and the animals that came to drink out of it? I mean, they didn't live where there was no water.
Right.
And they farmed. Man, oh man, the Cherokees farmed it first, let me tell you. Yeah. That was somebody telling me where the Varnell farm was. And you go straight at not Macedonia. Not
Hey
Carmel
there,
Church.
Morgan, in your best British accent, tell us what number to call here and tell them that they need to talk
Wake
to
up.
Kim Brady.
Always British accent. Anyway, call us here at 614-5553 or add 423 to the beginning of 614-5553.
All right. So call in. Kim Brady's here. We're talking about Century Farms and anything you have about agricultural. Go ahead and give him a call. There's the number here.
All right, caller, you are live on
Hey.
Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, is this T?
This is T-Ben.
Hey, you farmed a day or two, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hide in this recliner. I'll be here for another month, I guess. No, I less dairy business, and I started dairying when I was 10-year-old up at Jim Longwith, up there where John Moore owns now, a little part of it. And I dairied W.D. Calhoun. I think Jim McCleary owns that now up at Benton.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I run the dairy down there for John Smith. I milked 65 cows by myself. Had 5 milker units. I had some of them pipeline milkers.
Yeah. Nothing like that fancy stuff they have now.
Yeah.
Well, I know when you worked at the co-op, you delivered feed and you sprayed lots of fields.
Every one of them dairies you talked about.
Yeah.
Now, you lived in the house over Rattlesnake Springs, too, didn't you?
I lived there for a little while. I got grown, though. It was,
You did tobacco there, didn't you?
yeah. Yeah, we grew tobacco.
Did the cow ever step in the bucket with you, T?
Raised cotton up there at Jim Longwith. We had 10 acres cotton up there.
Hey, T. Kim's going to ask you a question.
T, did a cow ever step in the bucket with you?
I've had some try to, just miss. There was some aggravating Holsteins you had down there. There was one I had to milk. Her udder was so big I couldn't get the milker on her, and I had to milk her by hand. And she fixed the bucket to get out of my hand time or two. But, yeah, I went through all that. Got cuckabirds in my eyes before they get in the cuckabird patches and slap you in the face with their tail. With manure all over it. I was a mess when I was a dern. So I got a fish truck coming July the 1st down there at the co-op.
All righty. What number do they call if they need to order them some carp?
478-2405. Or they can call 310-6918.
There you go. All righty, Mr. T. Thank you for calling.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I know Titus has a few plants this year, and they had fresh vegetables for supper the other night. So he's digging his potatoes a little bit. And
I ate my first tomato.
yeah, our one and only tomato.
I've got tons of green ones, but this one had turned red. It probably could have been on there another week, but I couldn't wait.
You wasn't gonna give it a chance.
No,
right?
I sliced that thing up in quarters and it was gone. And so I'm growing celery this year, and Deb actually ate some last night.
It tasted like celery.
Yeah, it was amazing.
You mentioned tomatoes, and I had somebody the other day. I said something about tomatoes at the farmers market, and they said, "Oh, it's too early for tomatoes," but it's really not. If you got the plants planted early enough, we didn't have a lot of bad weather, so they've. Now I'm seeing some disease problems on tomatoes. Folks bringing things in.
Too much water.
Too much water, and that's typical in a wet year. But also the early
last year we had just the opposite problem.
It took a little while for us to get to that dry spell, but man, did we have one!
Yeah.
And I'm just so pleased for the farmers. I know they got like one cutting of hay last year, and that was it. And for us to have I know they've probably already gotten 2 cuts now, haven't they?
I've talked to several producers. They said they've got more hay in the barn right now this spring than they had it last year. When
they only had 1 cutting last year,
right.
And usually get 3.
Right.
Two
good ones, and a lot of times the third one too.
They've got look like great ones there. Mm-hmm. Hey, folks, it's time for our mid-morning break here. At the break, we always play a song called "Gone Home." We dedicate that song to all the people in our community that's passed away, or people around your relatives or friends around the country. So we'll be back in a few minutes after a few words. Here's a word from our sponsors.
Checking the cash, you got a brand new choice. Our flexible loans really making noise. Flex your money, my soul. Flex your money, my soul.
A check into Cash Flex loan puts you in control. Visit your nearest store for details.
Shape a flex loan to fit your needs. Make your next loan a flex loan and set yourself free. Flex your money muscle at Check into Cash.
Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Yeah.
Hey folks, Glenn here from U.S. Money Shops. If you think all pawn shops are dark and dreary, then you haven't been to U.S. Money Shops. From hard-to-find items to unique jewelry to the latest electronics, we have it. And guns, we have a huge selection of guns in a variety of colors from a variety of manufacturers. And when you buy any gun at U.S. Money Shops, you get a box of ammo in a case absolutely free. So come see what I'm talking about. Any of our 12 U.S. Money Shops locations in Tennessee and Georgia. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Buy or sell or buy today. A better way at U.S. Money Shops.
Matthews Pool and Spa Company, located in Cleveland, Bradley County for over 45 years. You know them. They're your new swimming pool construction and supply company in Cleveland, Tennessee, now with 4 generations of Matthews to serve you. Matthews Pool and Spa Company, for over 45 years, your swimming pool construction and supply company, spa or hot tub installation and maintenance. Get all of your supplies for your pool or spa right now. And that's the new location in the old Quinn Electric Company Company, building behind KFC at 2724 Keith Street in Cleveland. Call Matthews now, 476-4521. You better get your order in now for your new pool construction for this spring and summer. 476-4521. Matthews Pool and Spa Company. Gonna jump in. Woo!
All of my friends that I loved yesterday have gone. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. The songbirds are singing, the bells seem to say, gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as the work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. Life here is lonely since they've gone before. Gone. They have gone home. Gone. They have gone home. The old weeping willow that stands by the door sadly sighs. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as the work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as the work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. Where'd the old town go? They moved it all north of here in the shopping mall. Where'd the old town go? Did my hometown get old or just me? Did all my friends get old or just me? Are they all gonna have to be told or just me?
Welcome back to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. Morgan, what's that phone number?
That phone number is to call us 614-5553, or if you're out of the area, add 423 to the beginning of that lovely number, 614-5553.
I wanted to mention, I think it was last Saturday maybe when we left here and was going home and drove by Blythewood Farm. And we commented that the farmers were out there baling hay, which was most likely Clint Howard that we know. And who was running that great big old hay rake was his lovely little wife. And I thought, well, it takes a village. It takes the whole family to get those kinds of jobs done.
All right, let's get this caller. Caller, you are live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hello?
Hi. This is Wanda Hall. Most people know me by Susie McGill.
Okay.
I remember in the I don't know it, but I know that my mom and dad bought 2,000 acres
Jeez.
in McDonald in the 40s. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And they paid $2,000 because I got the original deed. We like to buy 2,000 acres?
I'd take some of that action right now.
I'd double their money right now.
But you know, it was a hardship then because you had to produce enough then to pay the taxes
now,
and stuff.
now, are you related to Della and Chick McGill?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the baby, and my mom worked at Bachman for over 30 years. So last week, that was such a blessing.
Oh, great.
Well, great. I was so tickled. And Jonathan said that he acted like a grown-up most of the time when he was on the show last week.
Yeah, but I mean, what he said, the kids, we canned beans. We went with Mama over there, me and Della did. You know what I mean? We were the younger ones. And we had to work just like the other kids. I mean, we had to break beans, can beans, if we wanted to go to the pool. Now, before they built the pool, the YMCA used to offer us and we could go there, you know. Yeah, that was a blessing to all of us.
Well, good. Well, I was really tickled that he was able to come in and do that with us.
So what happened to the farm? Did you eventually just sell it out a little bit at a time?
My dad died when I was just 6 months old, and so Mom had to sell different pieces of it. We still have most of the original, probably 200 acres, you know, with all my brothers and sisters. And I've got my sister Lorraine and my sister Betty and my brother Walter, who is Magoo. A lot of people know him by Magoo.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't have known Walter.
you know, but yeah, I've got the original deed, and it was 2,000 acres.
Now, help me a little bit here. What part of McDonald are we talking about?
Right at the foot of the mountain.
Yeah, at the foot of the mountain in Al Holler. If you're going to Al Holler on
Right.
Springs Trail. And they owned almost all the way over to Mayhem Gap.
Wow.
I mean, not Mayhem Gap, but Harrison Pike.
Right.
Okay? And Mom had to sell it throughout the years to raise us. So she had 9 kids, you know. Right. Yeah.
I didn't realize that many. Like I say, I just knew, I knew Chick and, of course, know Della the best of all of them.
Yeah. I know. Okay, thanks, guys.
Well, thank you so much
you.
for listening, and thanks for calling.
Okay.
Wow, 2,000 acres, $2,000.
I would double their money, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Well, even when I was a child, my dad would say, now, I could have bought that whole farm for $1,200, you know, when I got back from the war, and I just didn't do it.
Okay.
She might be one that would qualify too, Debbie.
Right.
I believe she said after the war. Didn't she say after
1940s. So they're coming up. They're in that 80 years.
Won't be long, will it?
Yeah. Well, you said there's some other farms that probably qualify.
Yeah, a lot of those, you know, and we're going to have a lot of those that's going to fit in that 30s to 40s area, maybe
Right.
late 40s area in there. And we've got some, Debbie, we won't get back that would have been Century Farms. Wayne Varnell was one that, you know, that I was thinking of. Wayne was Farm Bureau president for years and years, and down on Old Chattanooga Pike, I think, off of it down there. And of course, Robert passed away, and then Wayne passed away, and I think that's where UPS and all that is down that industrial park down there now. So,
Let me ask you, when you went past when you're back on Old Chattanooga Pike and the road from Black Fox runs into it, you cross the railroad tracks and then you're there that you can go on down into the valley. There was an old house and a green barn right there. Whose farm was that?
Kelly's, wasn't it?
Right there at the intersection.
was that Kelly's?
I don't know.
That's where, yeah.
I'm asking the question.
I think that would be Kelly.
One of the Kellys?
I think so.
Well, now, that's not the big Kelly Century Farm, because I've been to it, and it's down in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay, it may not be, but the Kellys live there. Mary Kelly and, of course, her son Russell.
Okay.
Yeah, now if you back up across from Black Fox Elementary, that's the Campbell Farm.
Oh, the Campbell Farm.
Yeah.
I watch it get farmed all the time. And if you ever want to see turkeys in this area, you wait, give it a little rain, and those turkeys are all over those fields. Now, they have a lot of cattle.
That'd be a farmer to qualify.
Yeah,
Yes.
I believe so.
Winston Campbell's dad bought that in 1920. So it's
Did he?
coming up.
Okay.
It's coming up. Early 1920s or so. It's what I remember Mrs. Campbell's saying.
I don't know how big it is, but one time it went all the way over nearly to Dalton Pike.
What's happening down at the Stockburger farm, almost to the Georgia line? Is it?
Hannah's.
Okay.
Hannah's are operating it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anybody living in the Stockburger house? Do you know? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Alrighty, let's get this caller. Caller, you are live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yes, I'm going to speak with Don. Ron.
Hey, Joe, what you doing, sis?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're very well today. What's going on with you?
I'm just listening to all of this.
Ooh, we're farming today.
I know it. I'm behind the plow now.
Had to hang on to something, didn't you?
Pardon?
You had to hang on to something.
Oh, yeah.
After Friday night drunk, you had to hang on to something there.
Got that right, babe. I'll tell you what. But no, I just wanted to tell you that I don't drink nothing but Mayfields. And they're telling what they've got mixed in it. What is that new milk they put out?
I don't know, darling.
Well, that guy there should know it.
Yeah, Kim, you should know.
I should know what that is, shouldn't I?
Is it by Mayfields?
Yes.
Is it the Nutriment?
Yes.
Yeah, that has the probiotics or something in
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. When I had gallbladder surgery in 2003, man, I couldn't eat nothing. I mean, I cramped to death. And so my son went out on Spring Place Road where Jim Floyd worked at, and he was a pharmacy. He told my son to have me to bring everything out there to him. When I went out there, Jim went through everything that I had brought. And he said, listen, you go get you a half a gallon of this milk right here. And if that works, you go back and get you a gallon. So I've been drinking that ever since.
Yeah, it's good for you.
You need to go up there and see Bird Dog Haney up there and get some of that real milk.
Fresh from the cow milk.
That'll work better than anything.
But if it hadn't been for that pharmacy, I don't know what I would have done. Because I like to cramp to death after I had gallbladder surgery. I don't care what I ate, and I'd have to call my son off from work, and I'd just be ready to pass out.
She could,
cramp me so bad. But I think the pharmacy, Jim Floyd.
I love Jim Floyd.
Huh?
I love Jim Floyd. He's a funny character.
she liked Rusty's down there too for that bootlegger down there.
You know what I'm going to do to you, Ron? I'm going to come down there one morning and pinch your ear off.
She couldn't eat anything, but she could drink that corn.
Well, that was supporting a farmer, wasn't it, Ron?
Supporting this farmer, that's right.
Well, you know, I learned last week that Jim had retired. I said, well, he finally got old enough to retire. But no, he had had surgery on his knees, and I'm sure he was old enough to retire. But
he's a fine fella.
I went to Dr. Smith time after time. Why, he couldn't help him come a bug. So my son had told Jim about me, and that's how I got started on the right road.
There you go. And just mix it with a little Jack Daniels, and it helps you out a lot.
Yeah, it did. But Ron, I'm getting a little low on it.
Okay, I need to break you some. Well, you know, that Jack Daniels won't cure you, but you'll forget about it.
Yeah.
You can go down here to Udwall and get me some.
Yeah, man, they've opened up a liquor store in Benton now.
I'm going over to Polk County and get some out corn in a jar and bring you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. Have a good week.
You have a nice weekend, both of you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh.
Listening to him.
Always, bye-bye. I always enjoy Joe's calls.
AA meetings, I'll get you that address there, Joe, real soon. She's going to kill me one of these days. I don't know when it is, but I just...
She enjoys the banter, I think.
All right.
Let's start and go up the Eureka Valley.
Okay.
Hooper's Farm.
Hoopers would be there. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, sometime
had-
one Mr. Hooper sold eggs by the gazillion.
Right.
Because I remember when he died and went into his little office, and I was just absolutely like a step back into time, where the little box where he kept all of his receipts and all that stuff.
And if I'm not mistaken, his daughter, they don't live here, but I think the grandson does and is operating the farm there.
Oh, okay. I didn't
And
realize that.
everything. And then you've got, oh, shoot. I'm Ron. I'm getting old. I can't remember name.
Well,
You got.
I know that there was a farm where you turned to go into B&B Marina that an old gentleman ran for a long time.
right there on the corner?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, Carolyn was his daughter. I don't remember Carolyn's last name at this moment, but I believe he's probably passed now. But that farm operated for a number of years.
Still got dairy. I mean,
It still looks
got
like
beef cattle
cattle
in there, I
farm.
think, now.
And you've got Varnell Beatty and I don't know when Varnell acquired that property where they are there. They were right past the fire hall there on Eureka Road too.
Right.
And I don't know.
Well, their
what
Beatty,
time frame.
Beatty farm goes
Oh,
all the way.
yeah.
It was a huge piece of
Yeah,
property. at one time.
and see, then you've got David Beatty, who's Varnell's brother.
Mm-hmm.
They were over on Bixby Creek Road, and Daniel still does a lot of that over there. And
What about the big farm on the left after you pass, going out of Georgetown, almost till you get to the county line down there on the left? There's a huge farm on the left.
Georgetown. Eddie Housley, Crawford Housley.
Yeah, now, how
That's
was it?
Eddie and his mom still. I don't know. It would be close too,
Yes.
because Mr. Crawford was still alive when I came back, and he was one of
Now,
the
they used to farm on the other side, but I don't know who owns that
Right.
now. And
right. But Eddie and his mom would be that. I've got them on my list too as a possibility.
And once again, to do this, it doesn't cost anything, and it's like a 6 or 7 little page.
It's
thing
just
you fill
proving
out.
getting your deeds together and all that stuff.
And you got to go to the county historian or the county agent, and they will attest to what you said is true.
Basically, what they do is go off the date on the deed, whatever,
Yes.
if it was your family member. And, back before, right before you get on Georgetown Road, if you turn left and go out White Oak Valley Road, then you get out into Rollinsville. You've
Yeah.
got all the Rollinses.
Rollins, yeah.
You've got the Hickman farm. Marvin's still farming out there. You've got David Rollins, and they do a lot of row crop. They do a lot of soybeans and stuff. Matter of fact, I think some of that land that Eddie's not milking anymore. They sold the cows, but I think some of that is planted in row crops like soybeans and corn.
Something else that would be interesting to not only the Century Farm, but some of those farms could be very historical, that maybe the actual Trail of Tears or trading routes of the Cherokee. So if there's any old road beds, and they're still on your property, don't plow those things under. Contact.
Let me know.
Let Deb know. And,
I know not too. Somebody took us and showed us one up on Chattahoochee Road several years ago. Well, John Ross's farm's pretty much still farm land down in the Flint Springs, and Otter Lifter's farm. They have beef cattle there, and until Mr. Foster died, they had a nice garden there every year.
And you've got the Pinkard farm down there
Oh,
too.
yeah.
That's right. So
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
lot of acreage in it. I don't know.
I don't know what she's doing with it now.
It's being hay
and corn sometimes.
or
what
Yeah.
about the Mitchell Farm down there? Is it still operating? It does chickens now, doesn't it?
Yep.
Charlie Scoggins, does he still run that, or did Charlie pass?
No, Charlie.
I haven't seen
no.
Charlie in a long time. I'm going.
They were raising eggs last time I heard
Yeah.
anything.
They've got they still are. They do eggs. They have the breeder. They gather eggs that go to the hatchery that becomes the broilers, and I think they still have some beef cattle too.
So how long was Mr. Mitchell How long is they on that farm? Do you know?
I have no idea, but it's long.
It's been a long time.
Yeah,
It's been
I'm
a long
sure
time.
it's going to be.
And I
right in
think
there,
it came,
too.
it's a family farm. I mentioned Stockburger Farm a while ago. When you're going down Dalton Pike and almost to the Georgia line, I believe it's before, I don't know, it's past Flint Springs and stuff. You'll see the Stockburger house. It's a railroad house. It's got the four sides or that same kind of roof. But that was the Boyd farm. Probably during the removal or shortly thereafter, there was some Boyd fellow there that was a surveyor or something, and I was reading about him, and that was his farm. So, you can get on back there sometimes when you're digging around in these records.
What about the Conleys? Do they still farm back over there?
They do.
Oh, yeah. And more than one location, more than one Conley.
Right. And I think the area out Bigsby Creek Road, they have a farm out there. I think they've owned it. I think it would probably qualify.
Mm-hmm.
The farm on Red Hill Valley Road was the part of the Renner farm.
And before that, it was the Steel farm. And that house is Mr. Oscar Renner was in his 90s, and he's passed now, but I talked to him the last 5 or 6 years, and he was telling me at least one portion of that house had a date from the Civil War in it, but he felt like that was something that they were building on, that the original house may very well have been right after the removal. And, of course, Mitch Cochran, that lives across from Red Hill United Methodist Church, he has a nice piece of property there. As far as farming, I don't think he does very much farming there, but it sure is a lovely glimpse into the past. Part of that house is pre-removal too, I would think.
What about Robert Steele?
Mm-hmm. I think that one, if you go out that way, and the Step farm, Leslie, Joe's doing it now, but Leslie Step, I'm sure both of
now,
those.
Now, Mr. Steele's 96, and I believe his family left Red Hill Valley when his daddy was 8. And they've been on that same farm.
And we'd like to say best wishes to Robbie Steele. Robbie understands back in the hospital, and best wishes to him. And then also P. Dab Matthews.
We miss our dab.
Yeah, we just wanted to say hello and best wishes to those people, and please keep them in your prayers.
Well, and you should see Ron when he sees the pictures on Facebook of Kenneth Roark's and Gene Flowers' garden.
Yeah, they're show-offs.
Mm-hmm. Ron will come in with his little bowl of vegetables, and they're carrying theirs in 5-gallon buckets. Of course, they're farming a whole lot more. They garden.
Yeah.
They garden.
I have some plants. Well, like I said, I took the Master Gardener plant. Now I know why. Now I know why I kill plants. Yeah, I can say, oh, that's what I did to kill that one. And it's sometimes you learn the hard way, and you can't fertilize all your vegetables absolutely the same way. I mean,
we bought some.
Miracle Grow's okay, but some plants like acidic.
Right. Well, we added to our soil, and some of our plants like that rich soil, and some of it didn't. So we probably need some testing done on it.
Yeah. Debbie, if you go down Spring Place Road, there's several down that area too.
Now the Humberts used to have a pretty big one right there past Valley View School, and there's still a lot of milk cows, I believe. You think they're milk cows now, or they've switched over to beef cattle?
They're into beef cows and do a lot of Milton Jr. and John, his son. They do a lot of row crops. Do a lot of jute is I supposed to call him?
No, I'm laughing because our operator here's asleep.
I'm just thinking. Yeah.
And he raised his head.
He was
said,
deep thinking.
He raised his head and said, "Amen."
Amen. Who's that?
That Milton Jr. or Jute, a lot of folks call him Jute.
Yeah.
And he does. They do a lot of mostly the crops they do, the wheat or the corn they'll do for silage for the cattle. So
and boy, he has all those nice springs that run right there on the farm that got down pretty low as I'd ever seen them last year.
Used to farm right there at Cahutta Creek on Spring Place, but it seems like there's subdivision there on the left, and then as you go Cahutta Creek there.
Now, Marilyn could tell me who owned that farm. When you go across the bridge, it was on both sides. Now, the Moores owned the farm on the side towards town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which Moores?
Maybe Ben, I don't know.
Well, Ben owns a lot of property down that way.
Yeah, and I know that Doc German had his little car lot there on the
Yes,
corner
right
for
there
a
on the
number
corner.
of years.
Right on the other side of the
And
creek. I don't know who owned that.
I don't know
They
the
used
name
to
either.
farm it. It used seemed like the guy drove a concrete truck or a dump
Yes,
truck.
he did.
Family did.
He did, and the Hoskins were up there on the right, almost to Macedonia Church, and they had cattle and stuff behind them.
What about Durkee Road going over there toward Oak Grove on the right? They used to be farming there.
The Calfee Farm.
I don't know if it'd be cattle.
I believe, no. I think when they sold it off, somebody was saying it was the Calfee Farm.
Yeah.
And it was right across the street there from Franklin Heiberger, who used to tell me he remembered them landing airplanes in those fields to deliver the mail.
All righty, caller, you were live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hello?
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, I heard y'all talking a little while ago about the car wash at Tractor Supply.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to tell you about a couple other things also going on.
Good, because I didn't know. I knew they had a big sectioned off part there. What else is going on?
Well, we have some dog and cat adoptions. Cleveland for No Kill City, which is a volunteer group for the Cleveland Animal Control, is bringing animals over. We are setting up right now. And also the SCCA of Bradley County volunteers are setting up adoption also for the dogs and cats. So we will be here for the most of the afternoon. We're setting up now. We want to invite everyone to come out, take a look at the pets, the cats and the dogs. I even saw a lady here with bunnies in the parking lot. There's a man sitting here with homemade ice cream, about 5 or 6 different flavors.
Yeah, that would be Big Bobby Orr.
That short guy over there?
He's set up under 2 purple tents, but we really want to invite everyone to stop by Tractor Supply this afternoon.
That's right.
Look at our homeless dogs and cats that are in both of our shelters here. We're overrun. It's kitten and puppy season. We have no place for them to go, and we certainly don't want to start euthanizing animals for space.
That's right. Everybody go by Tractor Supply and get Daddy a kitten for Father's Day.
Yes, and a puppy too.
And a puppy too.
If you adopt a dog, you get a free kitten.
Adopt a dog and get a kitten for free. Well, thank you so much for calling.
We would love to see everybody come out and pay some attention to our homeless dogs and cats and puppies and kittens. And if you see one that you connect with, or if you don't, there'll be one coming in later. They come in constantly, and we can't keep them out fast enough. So please come by Tractor Supply this afternoon.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Sort of amazing. You can call us here at what number?
At 614-5553. Or if you're out of the area, 423-614-5553.
We're always glad to have Morgan Denny here, a graduate from Bradley Central High School, going to be starting at Chattanooga State this fall, August. And we'd like to thank him for being a part of Old Town Cleveland. He used to be an intern, but he's a part of Old Town Cleveland now. How's that official?
Yep, I appreciate it. Lost for words.
He,
I appreciate it.
like I say, he was going to come do an internship and has made it a career here. He gets paid the same thing I do, which isn't anything.
Okay, down on Keith Valley Road, of course, you have the Keith families.
Get paid in fun.
Yeah, get paid in fun. I mean, there at one time, we're talking probably thousands of acres that the Keith family owned. The Rayfield family, I think, had probably 80 acres there. That family's had that farm, I guess, 100 years. 'Cause, yeah, maybe a little.
Are they still farming now?
I think they have beef cattle and stuff. Okay. Probably grow some hay and not too much. Let's see who else. Stewart's. Of course, the Holtz had that. Is it Hope or Holt?
Holt, H-O-L-T.
Had the dairy farm there for a number of years. And now they have cattle. I don't know what they're doing with them, but they have cattle.
Big cattle. They've converted the dairies over.
Have they? Yeah. Well, when you go, if you turn off at the Holt farm, my family farm would be the next farm on the left, and it's been in the family since 1920, and they have the beef cattle and grow the hay and that kind of stuff. And at some point in time, I think it was at least 80 acres. And, of course, you turn the road right there in front of that house, and you go out down into what I call Reagan Valley, where Charlie Reagan had a big farm for a long time. I don't know what farming's been done down in there. That road is a dead-end road, but probably in the 1950s or 40s, it went all the way over to the Red Hill Valley, where the big Conley farm is.
Okay.
And they didn't. There's a place over there somewhere that had a metal bridge, and road department was going to have to replace the bridge or close the road, and both farmers on both ends said, we just assumed that you closed the road, we wouldn't have people driving on the back sides of our property, and I understand it was closed at that time.
What about Price over there? It has the elk.
Oh, Ronald Price. Now, I don't know. He's got a lot of acreage and a lot of animals. But now the Ogle farm, Miss Louise Ogle, Kenneth Ogle's wife, lives there in that pretty green house right next to the road. She has all of her barns painted red. Now, for a long time, they had beef cattle and stuff, and there's a big farm behind her, but I would think most of her farm's been taken in by Mr. Price. Have you been to the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I know Ron,
man.
he comes to our meetings and poultry meetings and everything, so...
Unbelievable.
But I don't know how long he's on that. Now, there was...
Not anywhere close to 100 years, yeah.
Ray Humbard, there was another Humbard. I don't know whether they were related to Milton or not. They were on down, and matter of fact, there's a Humbard Road right there at Price's that goes down in there.
Goes down.
Dr. Ray was our associate dean at the university with extension for a long time. So
then you have the farm that's over there. Ron was talking about that's on the east side of Cahola Bridge was the Haskins farm.
Haskins, yes.
Haskins, and anybody living in there was all related. And I remember their barn burning, and there used to be a big white house that sat on the opposite side of the road from the barn.
What about at Million Curve?
That's the Million family, or it was
Johnson, I believe. Was
now.
Yeah,
was
I don't know.
Family, I'm not sure.
They've always had cattle back there. Little
beautiful farm,
little white house. Right?
We have some beautiful farmland here in Bradley County.
Well, there's the farm behind Valley View School. Behind there is the McKenzie's now is doing that. Car Creek Farms. That was one of the few all Guernsey herds in the state of Tennessee when Carolyn McKenzie was, and of course that goes back to the Randolphs. She was a Randolph, so you got Randolph and McKenzie there. So I know it qualifies. Yeah, I know it qualifies.
What about the Millaways on Leadmine Road? That one don't ring a bell.
No. There's not. They're not on Leadmine. They're Burgess is on.
Oh
Blue
yeah,
Springs, aren't they?
Burgess is on Blue Springs, and when Mr. Vernon got ill, I don't know if he's still with us now or not, they had to sell off some of their acreage, and so there's been some nice little houses built around the edge, but I understand there's still some pretty big farming going on, and I don't know. I went to that farm as a child, so I don't know. And then I'm really tickled about the red clay. What's those people that we met at the market in Chattanooga, Ron? They're growing like organic.
Red Clay Organic
Farm or something.
Yeah, that's all I know about them. I've met them and talked to them. I can't tell you their name.
They're somewhere there before you get down to the park.
Yeah, on the left. I think you're going down there on the left, and their vegetables are good.
Wait a minute, let me back up here. Marilyn reminded me of something here on my phone, and I knew that, and it wouldn't come to me. The Bacon family lived right there at the intersection where the elk farm is now. And she was a Humbard, and the Humbards had a store there at the turn of the century. So what the elk farm is now, what we call the elk farm, was the Bacon farm and probably a part of the original Humbard farm. Humbards owned a lot of land down in there, lots and lots. And then there was Humbards over at Sugar Creek, of course. And I don't know about Hughes Lake, what was done with that farmland. I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of folks. You're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. And Mr. Martian, tell us about the phone number.
Oh dear. You can call us here at 614-5553, or if you are out of the area, 423-614-5553. Isn't that lovely?
Look at you made the phone ring.
Made the phone ring.
There you go. Caller, you are live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yes, Mr. Bourbon Burgess is much alive.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Who is this?
And they didn't sell their property. That property that all those houses are built on belonged to Higgins.
Well, you shouldn't assume things. I assumed that, so I was totally wrong. How much property does he have there?
I'm not sure. My husband helps them with the hay.
Okay.
They do own all. They still own all their farm. But no, he's alive and well.
Okay, good.
He was on my 2001 dairy producers list, so they were milking cows in 2001.
Right. And they've gone to beef cattle now.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well, thank you for keeping me straight.
Okay, thank you.
See, people, once I get off in the ditch, somebody's always willing to help me.
Sure, get you right back on.
We should have had Marilyn on this show today. Of course, it's easy. Thank you, darling. It's easy to remember the names when you're sitting at home. She said the organic farm is Lyle Varnell's farm.
Okay.
Hey,
Tell us
you
that
learned
number
something
again.
today.
Tell us that number again. He made it work.
All right. Well, the number Marcia.
What? Do you have another voice?
I don't. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Do Morgan.
All right, I'll just do standard Morgan then. Call us here at 614-5553 or add 423 to the beginning of that spectacular number, 614-5553.
And also, you can follow Old Town Cleveland on Facebook or Friends of Old Town Cleveland. You cannot join Friends of Old Town Cleveland because Facebook.
No, you got it backwards.
Well, you cannot join Old Town Cleveland Facebook page because it only allows us to have 5,000 friends, and we have exceeded or to 5,000. So we created Friends of Old Town Cleveland, and there's about 2,500 members there now. You can join there, and you get the same pictures and stories that we do here. We always announce our shows coming up, and we also have interesting pictures. Matter of fact, last night I posted a picture of Vasco Steele, which is was the great grandfather of James Steele, which
Jimmy
Steele. His middle name is Vasco. Mm-hmm. Isn't that great? So,
and they had seen that picture, but matter of fact, I've been conversing with someone here on Facebook about that farm.
And also I posted a picture of Cleveland Ready Mix from 1957. Mm-hmm. So we post interesting pictures all day long and share pictures from other great sites. Jeff Pettit runs a great site here in Cleveland called Cleveland and Tennessee History. He posts a lot of great pictures there, and we share back and forth. We'd like to give them credits. And then Margot Steele from the History Branch is starting to really share a lot of great pictures, doing a great job of the History Branch of the library. If you have old documents, if someone in your family dies and there are tons of old documents and you think they ought to go to the garbage, no. Take them to box them up and take them to the History Branch, and they'll go through them and they'll keep what they want and throw away the rest. It saves you a little trip there, but particularly old pictures, old journals, old Bibles, books, old books. We can resell some of those old books if we don't have them in the library and make money to pay for copy and copy paper and things like that. So Margot's still doing just an unbelievable job up there. I'd like to say thanks to her. Also, don't forget on June 24th, next Saturday, is the Tennessee Trailatiers Association event. It will be at the Tellico High School, Tellico Plains High School. I guess the Tellico Plains High School there. They got a little community room as you go up into the high
nice
school.
Facilities.
Yeah.
Be
as you go up, it'll be the first little building on the left. There'll be displays there. There'll be a speaker, Mr. Quentin Bass. Did I got that right, Quentin? I would get his brother is the Dr. Bass from the Body Farm at UT. Mm-hmm. So Quentin Bass is a archaeologist with the and they're going to be talking about Fort Armistead, which is close.
Fort Armistead's kind of interesting. Of course, all that's left in the Cherokee Forest there are the foundations, but it was originally built right after the Revolutionary War to protect the Indians, because once somebody whispered the word gold, all these wild people showed up to pan for gold and was overrunning the Cherokee. So the U.S. government went in there to protect the Cherokee property, built this great big fort out in the middle of nowhere. Well, then just a few years later, they were housing the Cherokees there during the removal. So it's and then there was but then during the Civil War, the Cherokees that fought for the Confederacy worked out of Fort Armistead. So, I mean, its history's just rolled on and on and on.
Don't forget, next Saturday, June 24th at 2 o'clock at the high school, there is that event. There are two speakers there. It's free to the public. You're invited if you have any interest in helping preserve Tennessee history and particularly the removal of the Cherokee and the other 6 tribes that were also removed from the area, or from the areas here. You can come there. You can also join that. You can also follow the Tennessee Trail of Tears at TN Trail of Tears Association. You can join that Facebook page, and you can look up all these dates and times, schedules on there, and other interesting things about the Cherokee Indians. And if you think you have an old roadbed and may be involved in some kind of Cherokee history, and it could be if it was in Bradley County, because this was it, folks. This was the last place where they left from. So got that out of the way. Kel Brady's here talking about Century Farms and farming in general. Don't forget, if you want your soil tested, go down to the Agricultural Center office on Church Street and pick up a box, and it'll give you the instructions how to do that. Probably a busy time to send it. How long does it take to get back?
Normally about a week.
About a week.
Yeah. it's not too bad.
$15, and you get all kinds of tests, and it will give you an idea of what how to fix your soil to get it to that level. They'll tell you the different numbers of fertilizers. If someone comes back and they got a 777, where can you buy that if they have particular type of fertilizers that you need?
A lot of times you can, if you're doing it on a per acre basis, but now for us as homeowners, we have to just get something as close as we can.
Right.
In the recommendations, they'll give you several options like 10, 10, 10,
right.
15, 15, 15, 6, 12, 12. Some of the more common.
Right.
Now with turf grass, you get into some of the more particular things because grasses like Bermuda grass, if you're trying to grow a Bermuda or zoysia grass lawn, a high nitrogen fertilize, kind of a medium phosphorus and low potassium works, and it'll maybe a 26-9-3 or something like that. But Clayton Beatty over at its fertilized plant, Beatty's fertilized plant, Clayton can fix you up with some of those.
Right.
They have some good products there.
Good place there. And now, I won't knock things like Miracle Grow and all these other things. Just look, see, they have a code on the back of it to tell you what's in there, right?
Yes,
sort of.
absolutely.
And probably they're going to be a pretty standard 10-10-10.
Right.
And so if you need a 10-10-10, Miracle Grow might be just what you need.
Might be fine.
Or there are other brands, too, just not
Sure.
Miracle Grow. But that's the one everybody knows off the top of your head. So,
Right.
And then, Beatty Feed over here has some that would be a little different than what you'd get at the big box stores, but
Right.
just shop around for it. But anyway, it will tell you what you need. It will tell you if your soil's too acidic, whether you add lime or do not add lime.
And in case of a gentleman that came in that wanted to grow blueberries, his pH was 6.9, which is neutral 7, and blueberries like a pH from 4.5 to 5.
Mhm.
So he had to add sulfur to his soil to acidify it and make it more where the blueberries liked it
So if
better.
you're going to get blueberries, you can rake up all the pine needles and put them around them.
That helps.
That's-
Blueberries,
that's gonna-
azaleas, rhododendrons, all of those
Yeah.
are acid-loving type plants.
Okay, well, great. And then, of course, the compost, instead of sending things to the landfill, there are different ways to make compost. Basically, no meat products, but any kind of vegetables, raw vegetables, leaves, grasses, things of that nature. And you just sort of pile it in a pile, and it'll work out itself. Turn it over every once in a while.
Mix those greens and browns, and it works real good.
So it's good. Your leaves, don't burn them. Put them up like compost. I took a bunch of leaves last year and put in my flower bed, and it really made a difference this year.
It will.
It made a big difference.
Big difference.
My neighbor has a tree that puts out more leaves than any tree I ever seen in my life, and she said I could have all I wanted.
Oh, very good.
I had to go get them, though. She didn't bring them to me,
Oh,
unfortunately.
shoot. Didn't rake them for you?
No. And we're talking about Century Farms here. Century Farms is a farm that is 100 years old, but in the same family for that time. Is still farming and doing at least $1,000 worth of farming a year, which is anything. Sell one cow, and you probably got that covered, don't
Probably
you?
got that covered.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still actively farming. I was looking down my list here. A family that was everybody knows is the Bennett family down in the Waterville area there. I don't know what we were going through our 4-H dairy information, and I think one of the very first Bennett boys showed cows in the very first dairy show that was held in Bradley County. So that was a very prominent family down, and the Everharts. You know, they bottled milk and delivered milk in Bradley County.
Well, we had a lot of creameries in Bradley County back before I was around, and probably before you too. There was but Dunlap's, didn't they run one? And over there, and of course the Dooleys had their own creamery, made Dooley's ice cream.
Sure did.
And so there was a lot more because people could milk, and what's fun, you find the bottles that they'd done that. That was great. I mean, it's great history.
Do you know what year the first home delivery of milk started?
No, I do not.
I was reading an article, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it said it was around 1942 that the first home delivery was started in Tennessee, and I'm sure Bradley County would be pretty close to that, because I know Varnell's did too, but the Everharts delivered.
At one time, milk. Everybody still had a milk cow behind the house.
Sure. Right.
Jerry Frazier, former superintendent of schools and now on the school board, he talked about his family lived down here off Church Street, backing down off Coy there, and they'd take their cow up on the hill to up where the graveyard is now. Parts of it.
That's how the graveyard got mowed then.
And parts of it wasn't the graveyard. They take the cow up and let it graze and come back to the milk. But that was a lot. People still had that. I've got a great thing in there that hogs got to be a problem in downtown Cleveland. I think it was Chief
1934. Chief Trotter put out a notice that everybody needed to get their pigs under control.
And they would also shoot. They had an ordinance there. If you brought a hog to the jail, they would pay you a reward for it. Well, people started just shooting everybody's hog in their backyards, and they had to change that ordinance. Pretty comical, but basically downtown was overrun with that. Around the courthouse, there'd been cows walking around.
Well, every house on Coy Street had a barn behind it too, because everybody felt like if they had control of what the cow drank and ate, then there wouldn't be so much of the serious illnesses that's associated with that kind of thing. So they all had their own cow. Might have had somebody else milk it for them, but.
Do you think refrigeration is one of the reasons that probably the delivery milk started? Would that have been it?
I would think so.
Icebox.
I would think so. But now I know that the renters down in Flint Springs, the men would milk the cows and the women made butter and stuff there in the spring. And Miss McCoy, I can't remember her first name right now, she, when no other women were driving, she could drive the truck, and the women would bring their milk and cheese in town, but I think they were probably selling it to stores at that time, and we're talking about 1940 earlier.
What about Hardwick Farm up here? Is it still, how old is it? Was it Hardwick family early days?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure it
I don't
know.
Do they still farm anything?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
there's cattle and hay there now. Sure are. Now, there's someone else is doing it, but it's still owned
by the Hardwick family. Yes.
Descendants of that family.
Let me ask you a question here before I forget it. The cannery over on Peerless Road, and that's something that you're associated with?
It is.
Okay.
That's something that we do, and it is operational. We had have an inspection done, and it was this year, this spring was the time to take the boiler apart of all things and look at all we had an inspector come and look at all that, but our maintenance person's got it all back together, and she's operating.
Okay, and for people who don't know about that, on Peerless Road, there where the exhibition center, right?
Right.
There's a cannery there. You can bring your if you grow corn or whatever you want to grow,
green beans, tomatoes, whatever.
Now it gets busy, and you sort of have to have an appointment, right?
She does it by appointment only, right?
And you can bring in. They'll tell you the rules, but they've got all the boiling and the stuff. You furnish the jars and all that stuff, the vegetables in the jars and all that stuff, and
lids and everything.
But they're going to have a capability of doing that quicker than you can do it in a couple pots at home.
And you know the good thing about doing it at the cannery?
What's
you
that?
don't heat your house up
There you
doing
go.
all that stuff.
Now,
And you can do multiple quarts at a time.
what's the lady that runs that over there?
I knew you was going to ask me that.
Gosh, I can see her, but I can't think of her.
Mary Lou.
Mary Lou. She
Yeah.
she said she came in here one time and talked about the cannery, and she said that she
She's
used to
great
can-
on the show.
Used to can loopy. I said, "What in the devil is loopy?" And that's squirrel soup. Some kind of
Fermented squirrel soup.
And,
Yum.
and
Oh, God.
I asked her to bring me some just so I could see it.
You weren't going to taste it?
I'm still not sure about eating fermented squirrel soup.
Never been that hungry.
That's like my grandmother used to slice souse meat.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, I couldn't look at that, much less. Now, loopy sounds even worse than that.
Loopy, well, who was it? Stonecipher. Stoney, I can't think of his first name.
Randall.
Randall. No, Randall's his brother.
Well.
Oscar was his daddy.
Uh-huh.
And
it don't matter. Go ahead.
well, anyway, Stoney come in here, and he talked about he used to carry squirrel brains in his pocket. They'd dry them, and that'd be they sort of like a nut, and they'd take them to school, and that's what they'd eat at break.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we have Walmart now, and now I tell you, growing fresh tomatoes, even if you grow 2 or 3 plants, there's nothing like a fresh tomato. I've never had one out of the store even got close.
The best you can get, isn't it?
Yeah. So and support your local farmers who go to these farmer markets, like up at Fearless Road today. There's a farmer market going on there, and they have all kind of fruits and vegetables that are available now, and they got fried pies.
You mentioned fruits. There's a farmer that when I was a kid that grew peaches out on 64 Highway.
That's right.
Gilliland's Peach Orchard, and I think Debbie says they've got peaches now.
They
Yes,
have
we had
peaches.
some.
We went down. They're not set up out there every day. Some of the days they're down in Ottawa, so you might have to go a couple of days in a row to catch them. But we went by there the other day, and Arliss Stonecipher.
Arliss, thank you.
I knew it because his phone number's still in my book, and he's been gone for a while
I've
now,
told
and I
him-
can't take him out of my
Stoney,
directory.
Arliss and my dad went here, left with a 278 and got nationalized in the National Guard, and they ended up in Germany together. And then Mr. Steele.
Well, the Gilligan's the other day had a small basket for $15, and Ron and I can't eat a whole basket, and so
Good for yourself.
she sold me half a basket, and there were some elderly ladies there that lived alone, and they were selling them onesie twosies, whatever they needed. So they were very accommodating. Young people out there running and was very accommodating. And they're in their old shed.
Now, do they still growing it on the Gillian farm? They used to have all kind of acreage back in there. They used to do it.
I'm not sure what John's doing. I know he has either planted some more trees, but I'm not sure where these are being harvested from. But I'm sure if John's involved, then he's going to have control, even if it's not his land. He's going to watch them peaches.
You know, you growing up in Polk and in Bradley County here, used to be during the week or weekends, there'd be cars lined up down the road, and that place was huge.
It was crazy.
Yes,
We'd buy tons and put it in the freezer. What about the apple orchard? How long's that family been out there?
Probably.
That's the
not.
second generation.
It is, but I don't know. It hadn't been apples, but it was a farm before that, so I don't know about
how long it's been there. I know that he started out with just a few trees,
right?
And they'd set a little table up out in front of their house, and people come by and put money in a jar and take apples, and it's grown into what it is today, which is a huge operation.
I tell you, somewhere, just a minute, Ron. Somebody that can help us, Doyle Palmer, could help us a tremendous amount. Doyle knows everybody. He knows all the farmers. We talked about
involved in the strawberry production.
Strawberries. You had Bancrofts, you had Lackeys, you had
Matthews out there,
and Sherlands.
Yeah, Sherlands. Yeah.
So I think Ralph was one of the last ones maybe to do strawberries. So
strawberry was a huge production there. Well, they got to doing plants, and then they did strawberries, and then they created a down near where Cleveland Cherry is back in Euclid, they had a freezer system, and they shipped them out in boxcars.
Yep.
I mean, we've done peaches and strawberries. That was a big production
thing.
here. And then they lost their workers going to factories. Well, a lot of time, I tell you, picking strawberries is hard work. That's hard work on your back.
I tell you.
They're way down there on the ground.
I just have to sit down on the ground and get down there with them.
Well, let me ask you a question. You know, you talk to probably 2 or 3 farmers every day of your life.
Yeah.
And
sure.
You know, and working on problems and things of that nature. Do you go home and plant a garden?
Go home, feed the cows, Ron. Yeah.
How many cattle do you have?
We've got some heifers that are leftovers from when my kids were in 4-H and showed dairy animals, and somebody said, how many cows you got? I don't really know. We've got some at the Hickman farm in Middle Tennessee. Julius Beatty's got some at his farm. Hannah's has got some at their farm. Bird Dog and his wife got one up at their house. So they're everywhere. We just
Well, that's the best way to farm. Let someone else take care of them.
And if when we breed them and they have to have a heifer calf, we bring those and let 4-H kids show them. If it's a bull calf, then they've got buyers that want to raise their own beef, and they take care of that for me.
Yeah,
So,
you're from Polk County. Does Polk County have a lot of the Century Farms up there too?
they've got several too. List maybe a little larger than ours. McMinn County's worked pretty well on it. They've got
Yeah,
several
they're
in
still
it.
agricultural.
Yeah, they are. But we've got a real good list to work here from.
Oh, that's amazing.
And like I say, Doyle can give us a lot of background.
I want to
on
tell
some
y'all
of
that
it.
since it took us 4 minutes to think of one name, Marilyn says that the studio drains all of our brains, and we need 10 full hats on while we're working on here.
If you think you have a family member that owns a farm and has been in there for
No, the McCulley farm probably
Not-
needs to be added.
basically, if you got the farm in 1917 and it's been in the same family, you now qualify. If anything 1970 back, you qualify. You can call the Center for Historic Preservation at MTSU. Excuse me, I used to work for ETSU. It's 615-898-2947, or you can email to. I don't know.
Call Kim at the
I can't read
extension
this.
agent.
Deb, read this here. You're the one that probably can read that.
Or Ron, just
Call Kim.
Yeah, call us at the extension office. We'll work with you and try to get we can print these applications off. Our number 728-7001.
728-0001. If you're a master gardener, you have to know that.
You have to know
Pass
that
the
on the test.
Yeah, you have to take a test. It's a Master Gardener program, real quick. I know we're running out of time here. It's for people who are interested in learning more about gardening. It's a 16-week course, roughly.
Somewhere in there, depending on the classes that we do. Yeah.
You do 3 hours a week, one night a week. It's 16 weeks. They like for you to come to all of them. Sometime you're going to have to miss one in that period. And you'll learn about soil. You'll learn about trees. You'll learn about bushes. You'll learn about perennial flowers and annual flowers, crops, insect problems, critter problems, beekeeping, pollination. I mean,
you've covered basic home horticulture, and that's what we try to cover. So
it's a great class. Now, if you're interested in becoming more and more involved, they have a Master Gardeners group.
Organization, right.
And you can join that. And to stay active in that, you have to have some continuing education credit, and you also have to attend some community service things. I've not been able to stay active in it because a lot of those continuing education classes are on Saturdays, and I'm here. And of course, we done a show for a while called Make It Grow, and I'd like to need to get those guys back in here, get them active on that. We've done a 30-minute show, usually before our show, and on Saturday mornings, and at least done it early season and late season, how to open your garden, get started, and how to close your garden and do winter crops. And it was great. You know, the guys and gals that come in here do it, and Man, they were good. Well, they could answer questions.
Man, this 2 hours went by fast, and we remembered at least 40 names out of the 400 we tried to give them.
And also, they do. Are they still doing the Junior Master Gardener?
Still doing the Junior Master Gardener program.
Thanks to Judge Daniel Swalford, the juvenile judge here.
Mm-hmm.
He created a program with the help of the Master Gardener program, that they, instead of sending kids to jail, they have the opportunity to sign up to become a junior master gardener. They go through I don't know how many weeks, it's about an 8-week class.
Something like that, 7 or 8 weeks.
And the first hour they do a classroom part, and they learn about how seeds grow, and they do a little project. And then they actually have a little garden and a greenhouse. Deb helped them get a grant from the Volunteer Energy Electric Cooperative. Got a grant for that, and we got a little greenhouse. We got and these kids grow tomatoes, corn, and they grew some turnips there one year. It was unbelievable. Bok choy, we grew a ton of. I went up and helped them do that, and the kids didn't know that carrots come out of the ground. I mean, a lot of these, if you've never really grew up and around some of this, and they've actually had some kids wanted to come back, and I don't know if they've ever taken the Master Gardener class yet or not.
Not yet. We had one that we thought was going to,
right.
But it didn't work out with their school schedule. So
it's a tough, and I think what's it cost, 150?
That's what it was this past time. Yeah,
150. It may change. You get an unbelievable big book manual to do that. If you're interested in that, go down to the agriculture office or call 728.
We're getting a thank you for mentioning.
7001.
Oh, you failed. Take it back. Take his certificate back.
7001.
I knew those.
We're getting a thanks for mentioning all these names from people that they remembered.
Well, anything else Kim, you want any
Just
final words?
thank you all for inviting me, and I always enjoy being here with you. And
tell us again about the activity this afternoon at Peerless.
It is our summer beef and sheep show. And it'll be
Don't miss the sheep show, Morgan.
Right. It'll be at the William Hale Ag Center on Peerless Road.
Good deal. Thank you, folks. We'll see you here next week.
Well,
what are you going to say, Ron?
Well, I've got to say it's up to you to save
Make it short.
history. Just like these Century Farms, if you got a family that qualifies, get it listed. We would like to put it on there and honor your family for doing that. He's ready to go.
Sorry. No, I was trying to turn this on. Did
he turn you off, Ron?
I accidentally clicked that.
We're ready to go.
No, sorry.
So we got to get your part right that you always mess up here in just a minute. Help us save history. Get those pictures from up and under the bed. Get you some archival ink and archival labels. You can go up there to our friend Greg Serum up at Joe Rogers Office Supply. He'll sell you some of those. Put them on your pictures. Get your grandmother, your aunts, your uncles, your dads, your moms to write on the back up and tell you who's in those pictures. Share them on Facebook. Share them with the history branch here in Cleveland. That's the way. Folks, it's up to you. We'll always remember Pearl Harbor, but
we remember Aunt Pearl.
We'll see you next week here on Old Town Cleveland. Bye-bye now.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
There's a little girl in our neighborhood. Her name is Charlotte Johnson, and she's really looking good. I had to go and see her, so I